Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having great time so far here today, and I'm very happy to see you here at our last but not least session of the day, Regulatory Waves, Steering Through FinTech's Evolving Seas. Without further ado, please welcome on stage the moderator of this insightful discussion, and I hope I will pronounce your name correctly, Remonda Kirketerp-Møller, founder and CEO of Muinmos. Remonda, dear speakers, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elisa. I don't think I will dare probably pronounce half of the names in here because I think I'll get it wrong, but I'll try the first names at least shortly. Yes, we're here today and we find ourselves at a pivotal moment in the evolution of financial sector. 2024 has ushered a wave of regulatory transformation that have fundamentally reshaped the landscape of compliance and operational practices. So across the globe, regulatory bodies are taking decisive action, safeguarding consumers, that's a very, very big topic right now, upholding market integrity and stimulating innovation and stability. And that's also quite fascinating, which we'll delve into shortly. So from the halls of the European Union to the corridors and power of the United Kingdom, we are witnessing a profound reimagining of the regulatory framework that governs our industry today. At the heart of this conversation lies the urgent need to combat financial fraud, misconduct, and of course, investor protection. So the strategies implemented by the UK and the EU serve as examples of proactive measures aimed at addressing these challenges head-on. This is not just about compliance. It's about reshaping a future where trust, transparency, and accountability are the cornerstone of the financial ecosystem. As we navigate through these changes, one question looms large in our collective consciousness. What future scenarios await financial and trading sectors in light of these regulatory shifts? Today, we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery, seeking to unravel the complexities of this evolving landscape and uncovering the opportunities that lie ahead. So let us come together and start the dialogue on these interesting topics. I will start by introducing the panel, and I have Arina, who's sitting right next to me. I don't dare introduce the surname, as I said. Arina comes with nearly 5 years of experience providing corporate legal and support for SumSub. She brings broad expertise, detailed knowledge, and strong problem-solving abilities to compliance issues. As SciSec certified AML compliance officer, Arina possesses a deep understanding of legal regulatory obligations as well as fraud prevention and risk mitigation measures. Nice to meet you, Arina. Dimitris, who is sitting next to Arina, he is the CEO of MAP Platis, a leading consultancy group in the provision of solutions in international licensing, regulatory compliance, internal audit, risk management, regulatory technology, information technology, and other cybersecurity and governance, also to regulated and other firms. In the past, he also worked at the Bank of Cyprus as head of asset management. And prior to that, Dimitris worked at Deloitte in London, where he qualified as a chartered accountant, becoming a member of the ICAEW. Dr. Stella, who sits next to Dimitris, is a manager of segments and propositions at the Bank of Cyprus. She's responsible for segments, analytical, loyalty, CRM, and business intelligence there. And during her career, she held many leadership positions, including regional manager in Cyprus and the head of private banking. Her academic qualification also include a doctorate in business administration, and also in mathematics and computing. She's a fellow of International Compliance Association, UK, and CFA in charter holder. Nice to also welcome you here. And Andrea, who sits at the end of the panel, she's a member of the Cyprus Bar Association and a holder of an LLB, LLM, LPC, and SciSec Advanced Certificate and SciSec AML Certificate as well. She also is an accredited mediator for commercial and banking disputes. Recently, she was elected as a member of the Financial Services Committee of the Cypriot Bar Association and member of the Regulatory Compliance Committee of the Limassol Bar. Good. If you could all help me welcome all the panelists, and we can kickstart the session. Arina, let me start by asking you the following question. What do you see as the most pressing challenges facing the financial industry today, and how can innovative solutions like yours help address these challenges?
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot for having me today here. It's a pleasure. Well, it's a large question, and to begin with, with the last years, we see how the financial services are changing. That's the first place. For instance, recently we only had, when we were talking about the financial market, we only thought something about checks, bonds, shares, and now we have crypto, digital assets, digital wallets, digital money, neobanks, which are operating globally, internationally, in multiple different jurisdictions. And therefore, after the development of the financial technologies themselves, we may see the changing regulations around the AML itself, also data privacy, sanction regimes, etc., etc. And at the same time, we see the re-evolving layout of fraudulent activities, multiple schemes, which should be also somehow tailored, somehow something that we should cope with. And for any kind of solution which is involved in financial activities, financial market, of course, the most important aspect is to be flexible, is to be customizable, is to be actually possible to adapt to different scenarios, different flows, different configurations.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Arina. Does anyone want to comment on that quickly from the panel? No? You would like to?
Just a word from my side. First of all, let me thank everyone, Finance Magnets, for hosting me, and say that I'm really glad to be here amongst friends, and especially being the one bringing diversity to this panel. It's my first, actually.
Mine too.
So it's really interesting. Having said that, I think also in today's world, it's important to stress, and coming from a regulatory background, it's important to stress the impact of technology and innovation in today's financial services industry. And say that it's difficult for compliance officers, compliance consultants, and for the regulators themselves to cope with today's technology and advanced innovations. And we believe that it's important to understand that innovation will not only come, and technology will not only come and be utilized into the provision of financial services per se on a day-to-day basis, but also it will be utilized in every aspect, including compliance. We've recently from our side launched Vika, what we call Vika, a virtual compliance assistant, which is a really interesting tool. It's what it says actually. It is what the name says, which is a compliance assistant for any compliance officer. It can help you respond to queries, do a lot of things, and it's using AI. It's using artificial intelligence, and it improves by the day. So it can be used by compliance functions of any regulated financial firm. It can be used by regulators, by compliance officers to assist them, and so on and so forth. And we believe this kind of thing and this technology and the artificial intelligence on the side is the future.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Dimitris. Whilst we're on that topic, how do you see the current approach of regulators in Europe with CFD brokers? Do you want to comment on that?
In recent years, we've seen the industry changing. We've seen regulators across Europe, in Cyprus, ESMA, and elsewhere within the European Economic Area, tightening up regulation. Increasing the level of the threshold of compliance significantly, gradually but significantly throughout the years, I should say. We've seen intervention measures being introduced. We've seen the industry changing, and we've seen the industry shrinking to an extent, but also becoming more robust and what I would call shrinking to fitness. So the industry today is much more robust, much fitter, and much stronger to cope with everyday challenges. Yes, some of them or a number of them have moved outside Europe. But at the same time, this has to do with the protection of investors and having a compliance threshold which is higher effectively helps and assists in having a better industry. So I think this ties up also with the upcoming MiCA regulation and the anticipated introduction of crypto exchanges and regulated crypto exchanges and regulated crypto asset service providers in Europe and beyond.
Thank you very much, Dimitris. Stella, do you want to add to that?
No, I think Dimitris covered everything.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I thought it could be an interesting topic, definitely. And we are seeing, I wouldn't necessarily call it shrinking, maybe with MiCA, we might actually see more growth in the crypto asset space, partly because I feel, and at least I think maybe the panel, they have an opinion about that, when we have more regulatory frameworks governing, for example, crypto under MiCA, we actually do see more growth out of it because there is by far more order. So instead of fearing what could happen tomorrow, and I know this is not the topic for this panel, but for example, prop trading has become quite a hot topic right now, and what's going to happen in the future. I feel with MiCA actually has put a little bit more order. So that brings me nicely, Dr. Stella, to maybe you can bring into the debate as a manager of the Bank of Cyprus, how is the bank adapting its segments and propositions in response to evolving regulatory requirements? So what role do you customer-centric approaches play in driving compliance and keep innovation?
Yes, first of all, I would like to say that we have compliance and legal teams in the room since the beginning of every project. Mm-hmm. So my team is using our data, which is a very valuable asset for the bank, and we identify trends, we calculate propensity models, and we have certain new ideas which we would like to implement in the bank as a response to the customer needs. So on the first day that someone from top management says that this is a good idea, we have the data protection officer in the room, we have the legal department in the room, and we have the compliance department in the room. And we try to make the new idea happen, but within the regulatory framework. So I'm very proud to say that we have shifted culture from business prevention, because that's what we used to call these departments, to strategic partners. Now they are our strategic partners, these departments. And because we all understand what it means for banks to fail, and we all understand what it means for customers to lose their money, even deposits, which is something that happened in Cyprus, and it was very, very painful. We value regulation. We believe that regulation is what protects customers, especially the vulnerable segments, from bad investment decisions and bad management and fraud. So as a bank, we are also, we try to contribute to society with financial literacy initiatives, where we gather people in a room. We have alliances with the municipalities in Cyprus, and they invite the residents of their area to a certain place, and we show people how to use mobile banking, what to be aware of so that they are not victims of fraud. So there are a lot of regulations. I have some notes here. I mean, there is the PSD2, the PSD3 is coming, anti-money laundering, markets in financial instruments, etc. But we view them all as an opportunity to be better, and we still have innovative solutions for keeping our customers' interests alive. And I've been here since this morning, and it was like fintechs or banks, and who is going to survive, and fintechs will take over, and there will be no banks in the future, etc. I think that the two are aligned. I see a lot of alliances between banks and fintechs, and I think that fintechs made us better. Fintechs improved banks. So we welcome every new idea, and we also have a startup center called IDEA to nurture fintechs. So we have a department in the bank that is nurturing fintechs. It's giving seed money for good ideas, and we have a few success stories, but unfortunately only 1 in 10 succeed. So it's only 1 in 10 our ratio. I hope it's going to be higher in the future.
I think your observation is actually quite interesting. Having legal compliance data in a room with product and IT, I thought we'll end up with nothing happening, literally. But this is actually very impressive. I mean, what I really find quite impressive is how you feel, instead of seeing fintech as a competitor, you're actually seeing it as almost an enabler to help you think actually a little bit out of the box, and if they can do it, we can also do it. Did the Bank of Cyprus, to achieve that, hire people externally to bring that kind of, if you like to call it, thinking into the bank, or was it already there, it just wasn't nourished?
No, it wasn't there. We did pay a lot of money to consultants, and they did help. So it wasn't an internal culture, it was brought externally. But also I think our management, which changed in 2019, they have a very forward way of looking at things, and they also invite new ideas. When I'm in the room with our directors and our CEO, they always say, we need your ideas, and they are open to listen to these ideas. And I think this has been a catalyst for this culture change, because everybody is working towards making the bank better. And this shared vision and shared dream has very good results, and I think this shows also in our share price lately, and the fact that we were able to give our shareholders dividends last year for the first time, and this year for the second time. So
it's amazing. Well done. That's really impressive. I think other banks can learn from this as well. Absolutely. So this is very interesting. Thank you very much. Andrea, you're an advisor to clients. I'm eager to hear how you recommend clients to navigate the intricate web of regulatory requirements, especially in light of recent transformations, to ensure compliance and, of course, mitigate legal risks.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, thanks for the invitation, and thank you for the introduction at the beginning, as well as for the question now. So having been and worked as an in-house legal and compliance in FinTech group, I do understand the challenges that our clients and generally organizations operating in financial services sector face in navigating the intricate web of regulatory requirements, particularly with the recent regulatory transformations, both locally and across Europe. Ensuring compliance and mitigating legal and compliance risks is not merely a matter of, following procedures, but an ongoing commitment to excellence and diligence. So what I usually emphasize to my clients to go through this complexity is, first of all, to stay informed and proactive, because the regulatory landscape is ever-changing, so we must all stay ahead by continuously updating ourselves on the latest regulations. I mean, Dimitris has already mentioned MiCA, which is something that we all anticipate sooner or later, and everything will change. I mean, it's a big step towards regulating the crypto industry generally. Furthermore, what is another advice that I give to my clients is to actually conduct ongoing monitoring checks, as well as health checks and independent compliance audits through internal auditors probably, because it is very important to structure a robust compliance monitoring plan to keep conducting assessments so as to identify foreseeable risks in order to mitigate them, and of course avoid escalating any unnecessary escalation, causing any reputational damage or even regulatory risks. Furthermore, it goes without saying that having a robust and strong training awareness for the employees of each organization is paramount, because knowledge is power. We all know this. So it's important to keep the employees of each organization educated so they know what they're doing. And last but not least is the leverage of technology. I believe in every panel this was the hot topic, because technology can be a powerful ally in tracking regulatory changes and ensuring compliance. I mean, even SciSec has embraced regulatory technology by adopting similar technologies to monitor the regulated entities. So I trust that the organizations operating in financial services sector should embrace the same technologies so as to keep a track of their compliance status. Alerts for updates and so on and so forth. Yeah.
That's great, Andre. Are you seeing a shift? I can see in Cyprus now, SciSec introduced the sandbox,
yes.
Which is fantastic. That's a great initiative, and it's hopefully pushing the understanding of automation and digitization more to the front. Do you feel it's embraced in Cyprus?
This is true. SciSec has launched the regulatory sandbox last week. With more than 500 attendees, actually. There was a massive interest from the public. And I do believe that it's a big step from the regulator's side to launch such an initiative project, because it gives to fintech startups and investors to test their technologies prior entering the markets. So it's a very good opportunity to have the test phase that many of us probably didn't have in the past. So by having, the regulator's kosher stamp to test this is some sort of encouragement to dive into technology and even advance with it. Yeah.
Are you seeing more of your clients actually asking for it?
Yes. There is a very big interest about it. On how to, apply for it, what are the merits of it, pros and cons and everything, because it's relatively something new, and people tend to ask what is it about to find out more, because it seems to be promising. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you
very much. Back to you, Arina. We have a lot of increasing sophistication of financial fraud. You touched on it earlier. How can regulatory frameworks adapt to styles basically to stay ahead of emerging threats while still fostering innovation and growth in the industry?
Well, I guess the example that was previously mentioned by the panelists, for instance, the sandboxes, it can also be very helpful. I guess that the approach where there is a collaboration between the public and private sectors is a very good option here. Because when we're talking about fraudulent schemes, they're actually screened and could be found out by the private sector rather than the public sector sometimes. And I guess that in order to prevent it, there should be a collaboration, or there should be also these sandboxes and other opportunities to allow the market players, the market stakeholders to test the technologies which can prevent fraud, prevent other kind of financial crimes. And we actually see the good examples of these sandboxes, of the openness of the regulators, for instance, to report the fraudulent cases, to show the fraudulent schemes that both the users, for instance, I mean, like the account holders and the financial institutions also meet through the journey. And I guess that is the best approach right now and for the future as well, actually.
Okay, that's perfect, Arina. It's actually interesting. I met an old colleague of mine that last time I saw him was almost 18 years ago, and we laughed a lot about how things looked like 18 years ago compared to now. I still remember in the old days, Refinitiv at the time, WorldCheck, where they would circulate a disc to basically all their clients, and then you would open up this disc and find out if your client is on the hit list, if you want to call it that, which is madness today. I mean, if anyone can trace that disc, please let me have it. But how do you feel about? I think data is becoming so powerful. And it's becoming almost, I don't know how, I mean, I love data. I could live crunching data day and night, but it's interesting. How do you feel the protection around it from a regulatory point of view to make sure that not just, people, individuals, but also companies, that their data is really protected?
Well, I guess we also see the evolving regulations around data protection, and not only the regulations itself, but also the enforcement, which actually also make the companies involved, both fintech and regtechs, as we do, for instance, we do privacy by design, so we are focused on the aspects which are related to data processing. We are very focused on adhering to all applicable regulations which might be involved. And that's also what Stella mentioned, when we're working on new projects, we're actually also sitting, and that's my favorite part of the job, to telling the truth. For instance, when, for example, there is a development team, and also legal team and compliance team, and also the DPO who is like, so, and I guess this collaboration between the departments that also makes the product more not only more effective, but also more protective and more safe, both for the financial institutions who can actually also struggle for the law enforcement related to data privacy, but also for the users. So I guess nowadays data and data protection is taken very seriously by both financial institutions and the regulators, and I guess that we see the tendency that we actually are all worried about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Just very quickly from the panelists, I don't want to spend time on this because that's not really a part of the topic, but do you feel RegTech should be regulated? Yes or no? And I don't dare ask you, Dimitris, because that's going to be 3-4 minutes.
That's an interesting topic. I just want to make a remark regarding what we just said about data and information, and especially information security in the financial services industry, which when compromised can be absolutely devastating for organizations. I'm also the chairman of the Association of Cyprus International Financial Firms. It's the biggest association of financial firms on the island. A few years back, we had a few incidents or alleged incidents, not necessarily with financial firms, but these alarmed us and raised a red flag. And we actually, including myself, we lobbied and argued intensely with the regulators here in CISEC to introduce something ahead of DORA, which is due January 25. And actually they did. CISEC issued this circular covering ICT risks and measures taken by financial firms. Exactly because we think it's extremely important to ensure that companies and financial firms in particular pay particular attention to information, to information security, take the measures required, have policies and measures in preventive measures to counter cyber attacks, perhaps, but also measures to manage any incidents that might come up. So this is really interesting. Now, in terms of regulatory technology, perhaps I can think of, because we're also in the RegTech space. From our side, we're very big in trade reporting under EMIR and MIFIR and so on. Few years back, when we introduced these automated solutions, we actually took them purposely through the innovation hub. The sandbox was back then was called an innovation hub by SciSec. We discussed them extensively with SciSec, we exchanged ideas, etc. Because in the end of the day, if you think about it, they might not be directly regulated themselves, but they are indirectly regulated because they are used by regulated firms. So a regulated firm using a technology to report transactions is subject to regulation itself. And if something goes wrong, it will go back to the technology, and the liability is the firms in the end of the day. So indirectly, firms come to us, and one of our, if I may say, strong selling points in selling our RegTech solutions is that we are at the same time compliance consultants, and we review on a regular basis, on a continuous basis, I should say, compliance with ongoing regulations, changing regulations, and we ensure that they are compliant on a continuous basis. So in that respect, I think this is really important, and the RegTech is indeed indirectly regulated through the regulation of financial firms.
Absolutely. Of course, it's just passing the liability. Where does it sit? But yes, you're absolutely right. Stella, let me turn to you. I really enjoyed hearing the points about the innovation that's taking place in the Bank of Cyprus. Hey, I'll apply for a job there now. It's all exciting. But how do your clients feel? You mentioned that the feedback is really positive. How are you getting that feedback, and how are you actually leveraging these projects, their success? Is it only internal? Obviously not, because you mentioned the clients seem to be satisfied. Can you give us a little bit of feedback on that?
We have monthly surveys, not only to the clients, but also to the population at large. The population at large, we call it a rolling survey with specific questions that are repeated so that we can monitor the progress. And the other surveys are ad hoc, asking the clients certain questions about either new products that we are thinking of launching or products that we already launched, and just to monitor how they are doing. Also, according to the adoption rate, we can understand if a product is successful or not. So there are certain ambitions when the product is born, and then when it goes to the market, we see if these ambitions were materialized or not, and if not, why not, and what to do differently next time. So I think customers are our most valuable asset. We need to listen to them, and we listen to them formally, and also we listen to them informally via our circles. So whenever I go to dinner or lunch, my friends and family, they make sure to give me feedback. So I do get the feedback. And also, I don't know if this is a global phenomenon or it's just a Cypriot phenomenon. Anything that happens is the bank's fault. So when we have a joke in my family, whenever something goes wrong, I say, it's my fault, I'm sorry, because I'm the banker. And it's the bank's fault. And also before elections, always there is negative publicity. But this, as I said, does not show in our loans, which are increasing, does not show in our deposits, which are increasing. And I think the deposits are really a trust indicator, because for people to get a loan, okay, if someone gives you money, you take it. It's easy. But for you to trust a financial institution with your life savings, I think that is a proxy for trust. And our deposits have been increasing continuously. So we measure in surveys, just to summarize, and the KPIs from the products. And also something new that we launched on the 21st of May is a loyalty scheme which rewards the cooperation, the holistic cooperation with the bank. So usually you see schemes that reward a mortgage loan. Take 2,000 euros because you bought a mortgage loan. Take some points because you did a transaction on your credit card. This scheme is different, and I think there is no one which is similar in Cyprus, which rewards the whole relationship with the bank. So if you have a number of products, if you have deposits, if you have loans, you get into various categories, and it's totally online. You see it on your mobile app. It's similar to the airline loyalty. You are either silver, gold, or diamond, but the perks are different. So I'm very proud of that, and I think customers welcomed this scheme because it only gives back benefits to customers. It doesn't cost anything. And it's online. You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to go to the branch. You don't have to fill in forms. So this is an innovation because we listened to our customers and what they said. So they said, I've been banking with you for 30 years. What are you doing? What are you giving back? So it's our way to say thank you and that we don't take the customers for granted.
Good. That's
Thanks.
amazing.
Thanks.
Well done. Thanks for that. To you, Andrea, in your experience, what are some of the key considerations for businesses looking to expand globally, but at the same time, of course, securing compliance and risk?
Thank you for the question. It's been noted that businesses increasingly seek to actually expand their operations on a global scale, navigating the diverse regulatory frameworks of different countries, which becomes a critical challenge. So ensuring compliance while fostering growth demands a strategic approach, deeply rooted in thorough research and cross-border legal expertise. So I believe that the first step to take from the organization side is to conduct a thorough research and understanding before entering any new market. It is truly imperative to thoroughly research and understand the regulatory environment, the culture, the local culture of each target country. And this, of course, involves massive support from maybe lawyers, regulatory compliance advisors, even auditors. So another paramount aspect that they should think about is to maybe adopt a standardized global compliance framework, such as ISO, for example, because developing such a standardized global compliance framework can be adapted to local laws, which will ensure consistency and, of course, efficiency, enough efficiency to accommodate the regulatory variations of different countries while maintaining a cohesive overall strategy. Last but not least, I will say that continuous monitoring over the operations to stay ahead and have a proactive kind of approach will help them to be abreast of any new trends in each country with any local regulator that might adopt new directives or guidelines or anything as such. So it's important for any global expansion to have a nuanced approach to regulatory compliance grounded in thorough research, local legal expertise, of course, standardized frameworks and continuous monitoring to avoid lack of any undesired miscommunication or even control sometimes, because it's important to keep having the control of your operations while expanding and getting bigger and hiring more people. It's important to stay hands-on while doing so.
Dimitris, you, I think, can add to that as well. Would you like to?
I would like to, but again, I would like to make a remark and draw an analogy because we're running out of time. So if you don't mind picking up on what Stella said earlier,
no problem.
About the role of the compliance officers and legal and so on in the room. I was thinking that there is a great analogy. And we need not be unfair to the bank actually, because there's a great analogy with what's going on with crypto exchanges today. What I mean is that crypto exchanges, or most of them, especially the big ones, have been operating for some time now, for a number of years actually, without any real regulation in place, without any compliance function in place. They had a business unit, and the business people took decisions based on whatever they thought, effectively maximizing profit. Now, they're going through a process these days whereby they will come under regulation. So they're introducing compliance functions, they're introducing new processes, they're introducing new policies, they're introducing processes whereby business needs to go through compliance to get things approved. They need to collect documents, they need to get to tick boxes according to manuals and policies in place. They need to refer to compliance people for extraordinary cases, all sorts of things. And what I observe is that there is a process that goes on in those organizations. Some of them are really big as well. There's a struggle between the business and the compliance function. The compliance function is trying to set boundaries and ensure that its role is clearly defined. The business people are complaining often. They're unsure as to what they need to do in certain instances. There is a process going on of adjustment within these organizations, a changing culture as well. Some people are not even prepared for that. And it takes some time, and we're going through something like that. Hopefully, they will be ready by the end of the year when MiCA kicks in, or when they get regulated as crypto asset service providers, and we will have a decent level of compliance by them by that point in time.
Great, thank you very much. We don't have many minutes left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, Arina and Dr. Stella and Andrea, last remarks. I mean, the topic, as we can see, steering through the FinTech's evolving seas. How do you feel the next, let's say, we don't want to go into years, but the next year looks like for you?
Well, sorry for that, but I also want to add a few words regarding crypto and the case. Yeah, absolutely, because how now AML is impacting crypto, it's a very large case from my perspective, and we can see it every day, because nowadays, how to say, the unregulated crypto business doesn't consider trustworthy anymore. So users are still looking for licensed solutions for those who are regulated, and it also will grow. And getting back to the question, like how we see the future meaning like from the regulations, from the perspective of how the regulations impact the sphere. So yeah, of course, we're also expecting like MiCA, which will also change the industry. We're also expecting DORA, which will also affect the industry. So we see how the regulations are impacting the businesses, and at the same time, we see how businesses effectively adopt to the evolving regulations, and that's the future, and that's how it will work.
Perfect. I hope positive impacts. I at least see them as positive impacts. But
for me, the question is very easy because I have a pipeline until 2025 with many digital initiatives. We want to automate the world of our customers. We want the customers to be able to do anything from their mobile app and their iPad from home. So my team is fighting for IT time. And we have this pipeline with these initiatives. So we don't really think as a team of the regulation. We think how to excite the customer and be compliant with the regulation. And I believe that Bank of Cyprus customers will be very happy in the years to come because we have a plan and they will see it materializing very soon.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add something, having in mind the promising panel topic we had today, that, you know, with the rise of the data breaches and cyber threats, especially after COVID, and the fact that companies are increasingly expected to demonstrate sustainable practices and transparent reporting, as well as the popularity of cryptocurrencies and digital assets grows, so does the regulatory scrutiny. And I believe automation, as Stella said, will be a very, very important factor to keep us going and to actually surf through all those waves coming in, because after all, kites, I don't know if you're aware of kite surfing, kites tend to rise against the wind. So I truly believe that we do have some tools to do that surf during these rising waves and evolving regulatory landscapes.
Perfect. And without them, we'll be bored, I'll be honest. So it's all exciting.
Yes.
We ran out of time, unfortunately. And if any of you have questions, maybe we can stick around for a few minutes and hopefully maybe see some of you. But I would like to thank all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to next. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.